credit hack that no one is talking about? Well, I'm sure if you're on the process of fixing your own credit right now, you've probably heard about a lot of different credit hacks that are out there, like disputing your credit, contact and collection, doing disputes, and doing multiple rounds. But this one credit hack that I'm about to share with you is something that a lot of people don't really talk about. And I don't know if it's because they just don't know about it or they haven't discovered it yet, but I'm here to share that secret credit hack that I have learned about that actually made me increase my credit score by 67 points actually. 67 points just by doing this one simple hack. It didn't require me to do multiple disputes, and I'm gonna get into it right now. So before I continue, I just wanted to let you know that I am not a financial advisor. So if you are seeking any type of financial advice, as a disclaimer, I suggest that you seek a professional. All right, so let's get into it. So my name is Teresa, and I consider myself the credit queen. So I have spent years, about 4 to 5 years now, just learning about credit, applying it, all the things that I've learned on my own credits, and I have learned multiple different hacks. So this one hack that I'm about to share with you is something that doesn't require all these like disputes or rounds, or because sometimes you can send a dispute letter to a credit bureau, but that doesn't mean that they're actually going to remove it right away, or it could actually take multiple rounds, which is going to take a lot of time. So it could take 3 to 4 months or even more, depending on what it is that you're disputing. So what happens if you end up disputing it and then it comes back as verified? What are you going to do then? So I'm about to share this tip with you. So the one tip that I learned about credit while fixing my own credit, as well as applying the same hack to other people, and actually worked pretty well, is something called pay per delete. If you haven't heard that before, I'm about to explain what that is. So a pay per delete is when you contact the collection agency and then you make a pay per delete offer. Remember, this is something that has to be done in writing. So this is not something that you should do over the phone. You should not do it without having any type of paper trail. So it's either by mail or by email that you should do this pay per delete. So one example I'm gonna give you is a while back, I think this was back in 2023, I had an account that went into collection. It was basically, I believe it was an electricity account, and it was an internet account. So I ended up moving from a different province. I ended up like basically, I didn't end up getting like the mail for the last bill that they have sent because I have moved away. So then those two accounts ended up going into collections. And at that point, obviously it ended up bringing my score down. So what I ended up doing is I ended up researching some more on exactly like how I can get this information off my credit profile. So that's when I ran into something called a pay per delete. So a pay per delete is when you contact the collection agency and basically make them an offer. You'll make them an offer that if you were to pay a certain amount, that they are going to remove the information from your credit profile and erase it completely. Something that people don't know is that when you just pay a collection agency and clear off that bill, it actually doesn't remove the information or that negative information from your credit profile. So all the people who are saying just pay the collection agency and then your credit is going to be good, that is a completely false information. When you pay it off, it doesn't get taken off from your report. Instead, what's going to end up happening is that it's going to show up as paid, right? It's going to show that the balance is paid in full under your credit profile, but it's not going to remove it, the negative information from your profile. It's just going to change the status of it. So it's going to go from unpaid or under collection to paid. So when it changes to that status from that date, then it stays on your credit profile for 7 years. So 7 years, you're going to have that credit information on your profile. So anytime you go and apply for anything, like if you're applying for a car, if you're applying for like a new line of credit, a loan, a mortgage, it is still going to be there. So this hack that I have learned, it works. I tested it myself, and it's something that you should do if you are just going to pay the collection. So what I did was I sent a letter off to that collection agency because both of them ended up having those accounts, the electricity account and the internet account. And I basically sent out a professional email stating, and I made them an offer. So you always want to go you don't want to go with the full amount. If you're going to make this offer, you want to go about 25% of what that bill is. So if you owed $100, you can make an offer about $25. Obviously, they're going to counter offer you, but I would say start with something as low as 25 when you're doing your negotiation with these collection agency. So I ended up sending an offer letter by email to the collection agency and stating that, you know, if I pay 25% of what I owe, I would like you to remove this information from my credit profile completely. And the other thing that you want to make sure that you do is that you mention where should they remove it. So in my case, because I live in Canada, the two credit bureaus that are being used here is Equifax and TransUnion. So I mentioned in my letter that I can pay 25% of what I owe, and in return, I am asking them to remove the information from both of my credit profile, from Equifax and from TransUnion. So then the agent ended up emailing back and saying, you know, and she made a counter offer of what they would like me to pay in exchange for what I'm asking for. So from going back and forth with the email negotiating, and you always want to be professional because you are the one asking for a favor here, right? So she ended up sending me an email, she made a counter offer, and then we ended up coming up with an agreement. We ended up coming with an agreement date of when this payment is going to be made in full. And then in exchange, she ended up emailing me back that they are going to remove it from both my credit profile, from TransUnion and from Equifax. And that was how I was able to execute a pay per delete. So the most important thing I want you to remember from this video is that pay per delete is possible. It is a thing. If you didn't know it was a thing, it is a thing. So if you are in the process of fixing your credit and you have maybe a small bill, because sometimes even a small bill like $100 that ends up in collection, sometimes it's not really something that you want to go with like multiple rounds of dispute trying to get it off your profile, which is why the pay per delete option is a really good option. So instead of just paying the collection agency, you should do a pay per delete, ask them to remove it from your profile in exchange for you paying the agreed amount at the agreed date. So once you do this, obviously you want to hold off your end of the bargain so that way they can hold off their end of the bargain as well. So pick a date that you know you can pay it for sure, and then pick an amount that you are comfortable and that you think for sure you're gonna be paying it. Otherwise, don't make this agreement, right? So once I made this agreement, my credit score ended up going up by 67 points just by doing this very simple hack. And it's something that a lot of people don't know about. So if you want to learn about more credit hacks, make sure that you hit the subscription button below. So that way you are following me. Make sure that you hit the notification bell below. So that way anytime I put out new contents, new hacks, that you are the first to know about it. And please make sure you leave a comment if you find this tips helpful. Like the video so other people could also see it as well. So thank you so much for joining this video. From one mama to the next.